Well, hello, everybody. Getting things going here. Yeah, we'll get this out of the way. Uh, well, it's been a rather interesting week. And hello again, Rebecca and GS Crippler. Welcome. And we're just kind of getting off to a little bit of a start. Uh, Now, we had a rather interesting development last night. Apparently, someone decided again to haul off with their kids. And the result um, was that this chickie um, all right, I'm trying to get this thing set up, and it's being buggy again as usual. And I'm getting the name of it. And what it was is in the state of Kentucky, and this is a broadcast, it's copyrighted, so I can't air it, unfortunately, because of the way my channel's set up. But anyway, what it is, oh, there she is. Whoops, that's where she was. Come back up here. But this brain dead individual decided she was going to take her children and go bye-bye. And whoops, I did not want that in there. Okay, why is this? Alright, let me fade the black for a minute here. Something got in here I didn't want in here. Why that's showing up, I don't know. Okay. That's good enough. Let me transition back. See if it transitions back. It should transition back. And hello, Rowd Irish. So we've got 4 people in here. But anyway, this young lady decided that she wanted to take her kids without permission and go for a joyride across Kentucky. And of course, she had a Amber Alert put out because she's not supposed to have unsupervised custody of her child. And so the interesting thing that struck out in all this is the fact that she's wearing an E-Clause shirt. And I made the mistake of believing that the car that she was driving belonged to Mr. Hallett, since it is naturally a E-Clause vanity plate. But apparently I've been told by one source that I have not been able to confirm that the car actually belongs to her, and she took it upon herself to put E-Clause on the plate. which I think is rather weird because Chris Hallett wanted to put E-Clause on his vanity plate. He can't do it because somebody else has the tag. So I'm kind of trying to figure this one out as to why he would allow someone to have E-Clause on a tag on a car that, belongs to somebody else. But that's between Hallett and this chick. Rod Irish is asking if this is the ex of Hallett. No, I believe the ex of this woman actually lives in Pensacola, which would explain why she had a Florida vanity tag on the car. I have not had the time to check with the DMV to see who owns what car. I have ways of checking out to see who at least owns a car. And I was under the impression that Hallett owned a Ford Escape, but apparently this is not the case, at least when it comes to this particular Escape. But that's unverified information from now. But the children, the woman has been found. She has been arrested, and she is in jail. And I don't know why that. Oh, I know why that framing's there. There, that's out. Had a little bit of a framing problem there. I'm just kind of winging it with this software. But okay, what I'm doing is I'm going into trying to go into something here because I'm trying to find okay. Somebody had published something, and I'm trying to find it because there's some interesting information in this particular article that I want to bring out, and now I'm trying to find the article. Oh, here we go. This is from the News Democrat and Leader out of Russellville, Kentucky. And what I'm going to do is I don't want that one. So I want to bring this up to about here, and then I'm going to, let me see if I can do it this way. Yeah, that's not going to work, so I got to do this different. I'm trying to get this to where you folks are going to be able to read it. And in order to do it, I've got to... No, I don't want it. Yeah, that's much better. Okay. That thing I'm doing, hope you don't mind here, what I'm doing is I'm beginning to learn this software. Okay, and let me bring this down just a little bit, and here we go. Now, some of you folks who've been following this story apparently missed a rather significant clue in here that should have given you both what shall we say, a bit of concern plus a reminder. Now, if you recall, a few months back, or a while back at least, I had indicated that several government agencies were investigating Tim Holmseth and the others. And I mentioned quite a number of them. I even put the things up on my video. And then this story here broke. And the one thing that is unusual or should stand out about this article is what appears in the headline. And that is the Secret Service helps Sheriff's Department find kidnapped twins. Now, do you folks have any idea how unusual it is for the Secret Service to get involved in one of these cases? It's not their jurisdiction. The jurisdiction for interstate kidnapping is the FBI. Now, I suppose there has been cases in the past where the Secret Service has got involved in something of this nature. But at this early in the stage, for the Secret Service to come in with what all has been going on, to get involved in this particular kidnapping or unauthorized taking of children is highly unusual. Except until you go back to my video, to where I stated quite clearly that several law enforcement agencies were investigating Timothy Holmseth, Randy Erickson, Field McConnell, Kirk Pendergrass, Chris Hallett, Ms. Dunklin, and a few others. And then you begin to understand that that is exactly what happened. That this is part of what the Secret Service is doing. That when it came about that E-Clause was mentioned in here as being part of this, because of his license plate being on the car involved in the shirt, this automatically meant that someone involved with E-Clause had taken children yet again and were gallivanting around the country. When the alert first came out, it was suspected that she was on her way to Florida to see none other than Chris Hallett. She apparently didn't make it that far. She got as far as somebody she knew in Kentucky and was caught. And so, in case you can't read this, I'm going to read it. It says, twin girls have been returned to their home after a day of hard work by law enforcement that ended with an Amber Alert being issued and with the help of the United States Secret Service. According to the Logan County Sheriff's Department, on Friday, March 20th, around 1 p.m., 33-year-old Neely Blanchard of Bauman Lane, Bowling Green, Kentucky, left the home of her mother, Susan Blanchard, in Auburn, with her two 7-year-old daughters, and did not return. Bowman of Auburn had obtained sole custody guardianship of the girls previously through a Logan County court order which described Neely as extremely unstable. The girls were residing with the grandmother who has sole custody, said Logan Sheriff Stephen Stratton. The mother had some supervised visitation and was at the grandmother's home visiting with the girls when the grandmother left to do a short errand. When Susan Blanchard returned home, Neely Blanchard was gone with the girls and later told her mother she was going to Dawson Springs to visit friends and for a camping trip, according to the sheriff. We weren't contacted about the abduction until Wednesday morning, though, so we really started out in the hole, Stratton said. The only thing I can assume is that the grandmother, had decided to wait to see if Neely would come home. And when she saw that Neely wasn't going to come home, then she contacted law enforcement. And okay. Neely Blanchard was involved with a sovereign citizen group known as E-Clause, which believes the United States government is using the current COVID-19 crisis to control citizens. Now, again, this is E-Clause getting involved. We're talking about COVID-19, and if you go to Timothy Holmseth's website, Randy Erickson's website, and even E-Clause, you will see that they are espousing all these dumbass COVID conspiracy theories. And so because of this woman's associated with these groups, they raised the alarm of the Secret Service and other law enforcement due to current ongoing federal investigations, and landed this woman into trouble more severe than would have not been ordinarily the case. Deputy Josh Toomey initiated the investigation Wednesday morning and worked until 1 a.m. when the girls were found safe. He really deserves a lot of credit for this, Stratton said. Cough alert. I'll be right back. Yeah, I figured I wouldn't put you guys through that. When the Amber Alert went out, we started getting tons of information, Stratton said. We had a good idea where they were, and then the Secret Service got involved and used their resources to track her phone and social media. Now, if you guys remember, when I talk about Timothy Holmseth and doing his little things on the online stealing internet content from restaurants and department stores and that sort of thing, I made it clear that that was not a good idea for Tim Holmseth to be doing, because the government is tracking this stuff. And, you know, I got indications from Randy Erickson and all these other people that I was full of it, but it says right here in black and white that this is how these children were found, that the Secret Service came in with their monitoring equipment and found them within less than a day. And to do it that quickly means these people were already under surveillance, and it was just a matter of clicking a few buttons, and voila, they knew where this woman was. Neely Blanchard was then found and arrested on charges of 2 counts of kidnapping and 2 counts of custodial interference. These are all felonies, by the way. She was lodged in the Hopkins County Jail, but will be extradited to Logan County to face charges. Additional charges could be added as the investigation continues. There were people in Dawson Springs harboring her, and further charges could be coming, Stratton said. We are going to be presenting that information to a grand jury. Now, if anybody has listened to Kirk Pendergrass of E-Clause, he is always saying grand jury. There has to be a grand jury. Well, Mr. Pendergrass, you got your grand jury. And out of grand juries might come some indictments, both sealed and not. So I would be making plans to get a lawyer if I was anyone anywhere near close helping this woman. Because we now have yet another case of where E-Clause is involved in some way, shape, or form with the kidnapping of a child. We have Cynthia Abzug, and now we have this woman. We're 2 for 2 here, folks. According to news reports, this is not the first time Neely Blanchard has been charged with custodial interference. She was arrested in 2013 after taking another of her children from a South Carolina elementary school when she did not have legal custody of the child. Now, what's interesting about this case is someone within the family that had custody of the child. These weren't strangers. These were members of the family. This was the woman's mother who had custody of the grandchildren. The children were in the family unit. Neely was able to visit her children, supervised by her mother. Now, all of a sudden, the children go away, kidnapped by the mother. And now, the mother is facing 2 counts of kidnapping, 1 for each child, 2 counts of interfering with parental custody, 1 for each child. These are felonies. This woman is looking at 20 years in prison. Because if they give the sentence of each of these criminal actions concurrently, that's 5 years apiece. That's 20 years. So, Sabrina, why would they take the phone? Well, the first rule that was set down in the Abzug kidnapping and in the one that didn't go through was to get rid of the damn phone. Don't take your cell phone. We will provide you with a burner phone. That sort of thing. So, these people got caught in the same trap. And these people believe that they are beyond the law. And they are not beyond the law. They, I don't know. I really don't know why people go down this road, but they do. All right, now, gonna do something else here. Folks, bear with me yet again. Because this is a rather interesting take on all this. Now, Mr. Holmseth got on his little thing and ranted about a Mr. Snow. And up until today, I did not recall ever hearing about or otherwise seeing Mr. Snow. And Mr. Holmseth was rather kind to talk about Mr. Snow. Because he had come up in comments that were made. And so let me get this going here. Yeah, but what's interesting about this, one of the reasons I put this up is I want you guys to notice something. Yeah, good. This comes through. Now, this building, notice this building back here, this little portico, this little yellow thing in the background. If you were to watch Tim Holmseth's Fish People video, you would see this yellow thing, this portico, this large brick building in the back. Now, what is significant about this is Tim Holmseth claims he is traveling. And the only place Tim Holmseth is traveling is from wherever he is to this mall in order to piggyback off the public Wi-Fi. Because he is unable, for whatever reason, to live stream from that nice big comfortable chair that he used to live stream from. He has to do this from a car using the Wi-Fi router of a restaurant that's inside this mall. This is the exact same place he parks each time he does one of these things. And so, for those of you who have not listened to Mr. Holmseth in the past, here he is again. Take this up about a minute, right about in here.
I'm traveling, and I lose internet at some of these places, and I got to start all over and all that fun stuff. So, without further ado, today on Twitter, or on Facebook, excuse me, I hope you can see that. I'll kind of try to move it around here. Somebody using the name Jon Snow, very likely probably isn't the person's real name, Jon Snow on Facebook, had something to say. Here's what Jon Snow wrote on Facebook. There is a criminal victim harvester ring in our groups. Allegedly, Francesca Amato, David Jose, Kirk Pendergrass, Chris Hallett, Michelle Walker are the underlings and front people who lure in parents to Zoom seminars to teach, quote, law, but it is a front to trap parents who end up in trouble with the law for false court filings. They lose their kids who end up being adopted out for federal funds by CPS/DCF. So that's Child Protective Services and Department of Children and Families. The head of the crime ring allegedly is Sarah Dunklin and David Straight in these pro-family groups. They allegedly coax parents into taking their children across state lines. The parents end up in jail and the kids are placed into foster care and fast-tracked into adoption. Allegedly, Sarah Dunklin has done this for over 10 years. I personally know of 3 families allegedly Dunklin has done this to, and there is physical evidence. But Dunklin allegedly is part of a larger criminal fraud ring that is allegedly run by Robert David Steele and Timothy Charles Holmseth. These people need to be stopped, and we are almost there. If you or someone you know are a victim of any of these people, reach out in a PM. I think they meant DM. It's a direct message. So, wow. How do you like that? So let's go ahead and we'll do a little breakdown, a Timothy Charles Holmseth breakdown of what this really is. And as you know, I'm the official reporter for the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. I'll cut right through it. What you're actually seeing here is the people that, and they're not, I don't even know if they're people, but the satanic cult that has been getting away with kidnapping our babies.
Damn, I keep forgetting to turn this thing on. I'm sorry, people. Now, what I don't know is if all the pointing I did to the landmarks came through or not. I have a bad habit of not switching this mic on, so if it didn't, let me know, and I'll point out what I was trying to point out. Matter of fact, let me do that now. I'm going to back this up just a little. Because I need the right there. That's what I need. Let me retransition this because I want to point out a few things. Okay, now you all know that he does all this traveling, or he claims to, but I want you, if you remember the lizard people video that Timmy did, and if you notice that, let me see if this is going to come through. I'm waiting for the background to come up. I've got a bit of a lag time here to get this thing coming over. There we go. Okay. All right. For whatever reason, it's not working this time. All right. To the right of Timmy and out his window, you're going to see a black building. Or not a brown. You're going to see a brick building. I'm sorry. I'm colorblind tonight. Jeez. Anyway, you're going to see a brown building. And along the brown building runs a stripe. And there is a little abutment that sticks out. That is actually a freight door to a department store. And if you look over Timmy's other shoulder to the left, you're going to see a yellow thing show up. And that yellow thing is another delivery entrance. And if you go back and you look at the lizard people video, these landmarks are in that video. And this is a clear indication that Tim Holmseth does not do any traveling. He is in the same place he was before. He is in the shopping center. All right, and I want to go over to Randy's a minute. Let me transition out of here because I want to set this up. I don't know who that was. But there's something interesting in here. I got to go down and find it. But anyway, what I'm getting at is Tim Holmseth does not travel. He is apparently staying in a certain area. And that perhaps perhaps what is going on is that, yeah, he does go traveling when his either handler or the girlfriend go to Trump rallies or special events. But for the most part, he is staying in one area because it's the same damn mall. And this is at least twice now that he has been on public transmissions at that mall, and then probably in the private webcast that he's done, he is in the same mall in the private webcast that people just don't look, and they miss it every time. Now, what Randy Erickson's been doing is she's been putting up all this conspiracy theory crap. It's unbelievable. And she got a burr up her ass about Monty again. Even though Monty is leaving these people alone, he's going into the virus thing. And he's actually, what's funny about what Monty's doing is he's actually agreeing with these people. Okay, here we go. This is cute. Now, this is what I had originally planned on talking about tonight. And I did the video on it, if you guys remember, the other night. Randy Erickson's got a burr up her ass about this channel. And so she put up a thing on her Facebook account about this channel. And let's see. Let me bring this down just a little bit. Whoop. All right, where are you? You're up here. All right. Whoop. Okay. This thing is going to... Okay. And this is Randy Erickson on this channel. This is her critique, as it were. Seriously, who does this on their YouTube channel every day? The scared out of their minds do, and they pay anyone to do it. The scared who know there is a dossier done by Timmy, ooh, and turned over to the Pentagon, ooh. The scared who see the military rolling in today, ooh. Thank you, National Guard and the Army soldiers with all the boots on the ground. God be with us all while they round up the freaks. Well, that must mean that the troops are coming after Randy and Tim Holmseth, who are the true freaks. But I digress. But anyway, we go down to the comments. And now, of course, Timothy just had to bring out all the old videos. Now, this has got to be, I think, the 5th time in a week that Tim Holmseth has brought all this material art. They got, and remember, he has accused Greg Sawyer of making these videos, even though it was a guy by the name of Monoxide. And I made a reply to Randy Erickson. And this is the reply. Now, this was on March 25th. This is before the news that that woman had taken her kids and run off. Now, this little symbol here, if you guys recall, I've talked about this agency before. Oh, now I see how that trick works. I'll remember that. But this is the National Cyber Investigative Joint Task Force, United States of America. And guess who is part of this task force? The Secret Service. And I wrote, funny how someone's concerned about a small channel run by a retiree than the civil lawsuit against them, or is there something else that Randy is steering information away from? And sure enough, the very day I made this video, there's an Amber Alert released. So I think what was happening is Randy was trying to throw me off track, because she knows I keep track of all this stuff. And it just seems kind of funny that on the very day that I put this post on Randy's Facebook, which I'm not in a habit of doing, by the way, I rarely do this, but I wanted to see the reaction, and I got just exactly what I wanted. And I even put, I put to be sure to tune into my YouTube channel to see what has Randy so worked up. And what apparently Randy got worked up about is the fact that she probably knew that this kidnapping had taken place, and the last thing she wanted was for me to find out about it. Well, oops. And then somebody says, Murtard, if you weren't a troll and getting paid to discredit people, it would come across even weirder than it already does. And I find this kind of interesting. Oh my, he needs Jesus. Well, I would think people need Jesus on Randy's Facebook page, because they need to learn what the Bible teaches, because they clearly are not following it. So, that's the garbage that was on Randy Erickson's Facebook page. This is what she does. And from then on, she buried it under all these conspiracy theories. So, Randy went away with that. And then Timothy, he went away, and he did all these conspiracy theories. Satanic kidnapping called into a panic. And he's getting on YouTube again through the use of Task Force, which, this takes us back to the Amy Dawson days. And so now he's getting in on that again. And, it's like I said, for those of you folks who scold me for bringing politics into this, and cough alert again, I'll be back. Sorry about that. And whew, wasn't quite done. Anyhow, let's see. He got into this. Trump's General Milley sent satanic cult into a panic, and he did. They put his video on this high command channel, and interestingly enough, this is a way that they're finding to sneak all of Timothy's stuff up on YouTube without him being in violation, which is kind of funny. I mean, that's how desperate these people are. But, so that's what's been going on with that bunch. And, it's like I said, I said months ago that there were investigations going on into what's with these people, and that indictments are going to start to come down, and it looks like that's what's happening. Now, Divine Interloper did a video 10 hours ago on the custody dispute between Tim Homseth and the mother of his biological son. And that lawsuit is what got Tim Homseth after me. I was sent that, and in a statement that Tim Homseth said on his blog at the time was that what Tim Homseth said at that time was that the case had been closed and settled in his favor, and I wrote him an email and asked him, prove it. He said, I want to see the thing where the case had been decided in your favor. I said I had heard from somebody that this was not the case, that the case is still ongoing. And Tim Homseth immediately turned around and accused me of asking sexual questions about his daughter. And this is what Tim Homseth does. If you challenge him in any way, shape, or form, you're automatically a satanic pedophile, you're this, you're that, you're part of this international child trafficking ring. And so this has been going on since 2011, because these documents were in 2011. And now the daughter of Tim Homseth is by another woman. Tim Homseth has 2 children by 2 different women. He has never married either one of them. The first woman, I believe, gave up custody of the daughter because she just didn't want to fight Tim. He was too much of a weirdo, radical, what have you. So she said, just take her and go. Leave me alone. That's the allegation at any rate. They just, that's why if you look for divorce records, you won't find any, because Tim Homseth has never been married. He just bangs them and leaves them, to be perfectly blunt, because it was shortly after Tim got the woman pregnant that she didn't want anything to do with Tim. And that's when all this started. This is why Tim has this thing against women. His wife is a mental health professional, so he doesn't like her because she's a successful woman. And this is what Tim Homseth does. Now, this particular mugshot was taken around the time that Tim Homseth, I believe, was arrested for being so drunk that he almost died. Either that, or this is his first arrest having to do with the Cummings case. I'm not sure what yet, because I can't remember the date of this particular mugshot. But he's got about 5 of them running around out there. And this is the earliest one we've been able to find. So, but the interesting thing about this is I'm going to turn off this. Is I'm just going to want to see something here. Now, the patient, this is one of several psychological evaluations that were done in regards to Holmseth. And the thing was that Tim Holmes said, well, I passed. And that's only half true. But what the psychiatrist that examined him did say is that he is suffering from something, that he needs help, which he never got. So he's not entirely off the hook. And this here is from his book. I've read that online. Divine was so upset she just couldn't go ahead with reading it, and I don't blame her. And this is the psychological evaluation. And, you know, some of the things that were pointed out that were alleged to have been done by the son are pretty bad. And to be honest with you, I don't know how he ever passed his psychological evaluation. It's just the stuff that's described in this report is mind-boggling. And I have the original documents on file. They're in a different computer, so that's why I didn't put them on here. I've done this in the past, but the woman's a licensed psychologist. She's an expert in her field, and so on and so forth. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over and I'm going to read some of the comments here. So if I look like I'm a little bit off on my angle, that's because I'm reading the chat. And the chat's way over on the other side of this very big screen. So let's see what we got. Got a pretty decent number tonight. I've already managed to well, Tom Morrissey, I've heard that people are not supposed to be taking. Oh, that thing started playing. I hadn't unplanned on that. That was weird. Well, Julia, thanks for stopping in. You have a good night, and feel free to stop in anytime. Well, hello, minions. Welcome to the chat. Damn, my glasses are fogging up. Sorry about that. That's one that snuck by. Okay. Alright, no. Definitely going to have to do something about this room. It's hotter than hell in here. Um, oh dear, I didn't mean for this to come in the room. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm just scrolling through social media, so everybody gets to see what I'm scrolling through in social media. Oh, not gonna transition. Darn it. There we go. Yeah, just checking to see what's new. And ooh, the casinos are empty. Yeah. No, I am not on Triple X sites, Kev Chat. You know better than that. Okay, thank you, Kev Chat. Try to keep my enemy count at an absolute minimum if it's possible to do such a thing. I had planned on, with my new schedule audit, I had planned on doing some things downtown Orlando, and right now I'm not certain if I can do these things. Okay, we've got E-clause, issues, statement, and see what this is about. It is 17 minutes. Well, Mr. Hallett is making a warning on the arrest. So let's see what Mr. Hallett has to say.
Okay, it looks like we might very well be live here. So, good afternoon, everybody. I'm here to come out and make an official statement because, like you guys, I get sick of shenanigans. So, I'm going to dive right into exactly why we're here. I'm sure many of you have been following what's going on YouTube, and I'm here to dispel any of the SMU associated with this case and further clarify E-Clause's involvement. This goes back to a report that I filed into the legislature, right? Here's the process. Here it was. One of those weaponized family court reports. Remember, what were we going after? The defective practices, that Sharia shit.
All right, he's getting into this BS. Yeah, he's not getting to the substance of his involvement. Oh, this is interesting. Why was the Secret Service involved in county-level custody matter in Kentucky, and why did only one news outlet report it? Well, the answer is quite simple, Timmy, because the Secret Service, like I have said, is investigating you people. And they have been investigating you since way back when. And I reported on this. If people want to know why the Secret Service is chasing after Tim Holmseth and his compatriots, they simply need to go back and watch all my videos. That was weird. Because it's all right in my videos. So if you want to know why you're being investigated, go watch my videos. Since when does the United States Secret Service get involved in county-level custody matter, and why does only one news outlet quote the county sheriff regarding Secret Service involvement? Well, the reason for question number 2 is that this was a fairly local case, and it was limited in the amount of time. They found the child, or the children, and the mother within a few hours. Well, Tim Holmseth, if you want to know why, this is his interjection. He said, it does not appear news reporting that explains why the emergency existed or how the wheels of lawsuit got started turning the case. News reporting seems lackluster and offers precious little insight. Well, I'll give you the insight. And the insight is, like I had said a long time ago, way back when Timothy Charles Holmseth was living with Phil McConnell in Plum City, Wisconsin, that the Secret Service was investigating Timothy Holmseth. I pointed that out. I pointed out that the Secret Service and the government was investigating these people. And I put up all the agencies involved, and just like back when I did the comment over on Randy Erickson's page, I alluded to this. You folks want to know why the Secret Service is investigating you, you need to go back and dig up my videos and look at my videos. I explain it. You know, this is why they don't like my channel, because the answers are there. You know, I put the answers there. And I put them there long before this happened. You know, what I'm trying to do is I'm going through. We're going to go down. And this is back before the murdathons became a regular thing. This is way back. Let me just bear with me. As we go, I probably should have put hashtags and stuff so it makes it easier to find, because this is quite a ways back that I got into this. Now remember, I was going to do the Eye in the Sky series where I was going to explain. I wonder if this is in here. Let me see. This is September 14th. So this is getting into the contempt of court. Yeah, this is not the one. Alright. So let me... Okay, it's going to be somewhere. But I did get into the investigations into these people. And I believe one of the videos, certain cell phones, is this one. Let me run through this real quick. Because I did a segment on explaining the Stingray. And yeah, this is mainly... Now, this 8.5 minute video I did on October 6th, 2019. Now remember, this is October 6th. So, now I'm going to cue this up. Now this is short, and this is one of the earliest times where I indicated that there were things going on with the Justice Department involving Tim Holmseth and Field McConnell. So I gave these people ample warning. And this is supposed to be, if I had not gotten sidetracked with developments that happened later on, I would have done this series. So for your viewing pleasure, we're going to have kind of like a rerun. Yes, you can. I own one. One of the pictures you'll see in this segment is my Stingray. What I'd like to talk about now are pings and stingrays as they relate to Timothy Charles Holmseth and Field McConnell. Now, it might behoove some of you out there to remember a while back when there was a couple mystery callers to Field McConnell, or a couple of mystery calls, I should say. And also the fact that Field McConnell gets telephone calls. Now, enter into the picture a couple terms. First term is a stingray. What is a stingray? Stingray is a little gadget made by the Harrison Communications Company that is used by law enforcement and intelligence people to monitor certain cell phones. It's a tool for surveillance, covert surveillance. Now, as usually the case, non-law enforcement individuals or civilians have been known to get their hands on these little gadgets, or else, because of their knowledge of the technology, make their own versions of the stingrays. Now, what can you use a stingray for? Well, remote surveillance is a key here. You can use the stingray to keep track of certain cell phones. And if somebody, for instance, wanted to find out where Timothy Holmseth is, they would use a stingray to do it. Now, it would help if you had Timothy Holmseth's telephone number. It would be a good idea to have Tim Holmseth's telephone number. It's also a good idea to have Field McConnell's telephone number, but you don't necessarily have to have either one. This is one of the strengths of a stingray. Say you know the telephone calls over the cell phone system are originating from a fixed location. In this case, it would be the residence of Field McConnell. Or it could be a motel where a party's being held. Or it could be a courthouse where a trial is supposed to be held. A lot of data can come out of the fact that you know that Field McConnell is on his telephone. And some of the data you would learn is the telephones that are coming into Field McConnell. People making calls to Field McConnell and Field McConnell making calls to other people. The stingray can help you with this information. Okay. So we go down to Field McConnell's house with a portable stingray. And we wait we check. See if the phone is active. He's getting calls. You can figure out who he's getting calls from. So on and so forth. This brings us to the next subject of pings. Now, a ping, as it relates to cell phones, is a signal that's sent to and from the cell phone towers that the cell phone communicates on. It's a geolocation. You can use pings in law enforcement to determine where somebody has been, or, in this case, where somebody is. But okay. Let's say you don't know what phone Timothy Holmseth is using. So without knowing what telephone Timothy Holmseth is using, it's hard to know where Timothy Holmseth is. Which brings me to the subject of the mystery caller. Field McConnell gets his call from the mystery caller. His phone pings. So we know that he's getting a phone call. So now we can get the pings from the person that's calling Phil McConnell to find out where Phil McConnell is, because this is one thing. Stingrays and devices similar to Stingrays can do this. They can hook onto the other phone, just like you're tapping into a landline between two different phones and figure out who's calling from where, or at least where the phone is calling from. Remember back in the old days of the movies where they keep the person on the line for as long as they can so that they can trace the call. Stingrays and devices like them make this process a lot quicker and a lot simpler. You can have a geolocation on multiple telephone calls in seconds. You don't need to hold the person on the phone for a limited period of time to get the trace. It's instantaneous. In the case of the mystery caller, Timothy Charles Holmseth, this is where we finally figure out for certain that Timothy Holmseth is in Phil McConnell's home. Because when you do a ping back on a phone that is calling Phil McConnell as a mystery caller, and the call is coming from Phil McConnell's house to Phil McConnell in his house, it's quite obvious that the mystery caller is calling from the room next door. Because of the pings, because of the technology behind devices like the Stingray. And so, based on the information that I have received, Tim Holmseth is in Phil McConnell's house. He's been there all along. There was communications between Holmseth and Phil McConnell while the two of them were in East Grand Forks. They talked to each other quite often up until the day that Tim Holmseth disappeared, and within a day or two of Tim Holmseth being in the residence of Phil McConnell's house. I have to say alleged to all this because it's secondhand information, but I'm familiar with the equipment. I'm familiar with who's operating the equipment, and I can almost say for certain, with 95% assurance, that Tim Holmseth is being assisted by Phil McConnell in staying out of jail. Whether or not this will lead to the arrest of either or both of these individuals is hard to say. But at least now we know for certain where Tim Holmseth is and how he got where he is. This is William K. Murtaugh, a.k.a. Mert Witness 1. Have a good one. Okay.
Tax. Mine isn't due till October.
Okay,
I just
why
pay
are
it
we...
once a year. Get it done.
Well, stingrays are not that easy to get, so I wouldn't be going out looking on eBay or Amazon for one. These are quite expensive. You need to know how to operate them. Believe me, these things are a pain in the ass. And so I would hold off on stingrays for a while. Plus, there are some laws that are in place. You have to be very careful how you use these things, because it is getting into wiretapping, cooperative surveillance and stuff, and you have to have authority to do that. But that is how they caught Neely. Was more than likely the Secret Service was using a Stingray or one of the similar equipments, and all they did was track the pings. It's an easy thing to do. It takes seconds. And also, in the video that I just did my last Mobileton that I did on Wednesday and on Tuesday, I pointed out that because Tim Holmseth is using a public Wi-Fi, the minute he turned that PC on and established connection to that Wi-Fi, the Secret Service knew where he was. This is why none of these people realize the trouble they're in. Now, the fact that the Secret Service moved in on this particular case surprised me because they haven't been public before in what they're doing. Now, apparently what happened, from what I can figure out, is the sheriff leaked confidential information because the Secret Service usually does not like it being known that they're involved in a case that's currently under investigation. This kind of blew their cover, so to speak, because the Secret Service is involved all along. It was the Secret Service that notified Montana of Cynthia Abzug, and it was the Secret Service that notified Wyoming. And nobody has figured that out. Nobody has quite figured out why they are so quickly able to find these people. And, you're driving up in the middle of Buntfunk, Egypt in Montana, and all of a sudden the state police pulls you over. How the hell did they find out you were in Montana? There was nothing in the police report that Abzug's daughter allegedly filed that pinpointed exactly where her mother was. All the teenager said was that her mother had joined up with these QAnon, and yeah, I already know about that lawsuit. That was another thing I was going to discuss tonight and got sidetracked on. But generally, state officials are not this fast with Amber Alerts, with bolos. Look what happened with Tim Holmseth. The bolo went on him the minute the judge knew that he was being looked for, and they weren't able to get in place in time to pick him up. That's because at that time, the Secret Service wasn't involved. They got involved immediately after Tim Holmseth disappeared. This because they had finally gotten organized and they were able to get going on this. So it was just after Tim Holmseth was whisked away from East Grand Forks, Minnesota, that the Secret Service became involved. Because once they were notified by people that work with them that something was going on, they needed to get involved, they got involved. And so now the Secret Service is involved, the Department of Justice is involved. All the agencies that were in that one video I made are involved in this investigation. And it's like I've been saying all along, it's going to take time, but eventually people are going to start getting caught. Now, Kirk Pendergrass and Chris Howlett have both said, well, you're going to know things are going to happen in cases because they have to have a grand jury in order to prosecute. Well, guess what? This case where this woman ran off with her 2 kids is going in front of a grand jury. It didn't happen with Cynthia Abzug yet, but it happened with this girl. They are taking her in front of a grand jury. Secret Service got involved. This is a federal grand jury. This is going to be the case to watch right here. This Neely case. I'm going to be digging into this because this is what's going on. The reason Tim Holmseth hasn't been arrested is twofold. First of all, he is only currently charged with a misdemeanor warrant. And that means that the federal authorities don't have probable cause yet. And what the federal authorities are doing is they are building a foundation of evidence. You hear this in court all the time where they're going to present the foundation of evidence. This is the start of the process. And sorry, I was reading the chat. But anyway, you build up. It's just like building a house. You start with the foundation, the base evidence, the evidence to which you are giving your probable cause. And in the case of Holmes, Seth, and all these other individuals, they want as much evidence as they can possibly have before this stuff goes before a grand jury. Now, this could have been brought before a grand jury, and we don't know it. Because what they do is they will issue what they are known as sealed indictments. And all you see with a sealed indictment is that there is an indictment floating around out there, but they don't say who. And you can't necessarily go by where the indictment come from. You can't say, okay, we got an indictment out of Wisconsin, so that must be Phil McConnell. Or we got an indictment out of Minnesota, so that must be Tim Holmseth or any of these other people. No, it's going to come out of where the federal government determines the jurisdiction falls. The jurisdiction might fall in Washington, D.C., because this is a federal case. It's going to be a decision that is made by the federal government as to where the jurisdiction is going to be for any sealed. It might be multiple because it's going to go by the nature of the crime, where the crime took place, who has jurisdiction, and where the defendants live. So it's, because if you look, the Epstein case was filed in New York State. The original Epstein case was filed in Florida. So it wanders around according to where the crimes took place. Cough alert. Yeah, sharp as a tack. I know Chris Hallett did it. I played it in here briefly, but he got into all this damn legal mumbo jumbo, so I cut out. Kev Chat, you're quite correct. If Phil McConnell had not met Tim Holmseth, Phil McConnell would be a free man right now. Tim Holmseth is the catalyst behind a lot of this. Because Tim Holmseth and his obsession with Kim, and just the fact, like Kirk Pendergrass stated, that he can't keep his big fat mouth shut, he's gotten everybody into trouble. So while Tim Holmseth is busy having his mobile chats sitting in the parking lot of a shopping center, Phil McConnell is under house arrest. Phil McConnell is cut off from the world. And now a woman in the state of Kentucky is quite likely sitting in jail awaiting to get indicted back to another part of the state on federal charges of kidnapping and interfering with the custody of a guardian. So, that's what the followers of Phil McConnell don't understand, is that if it had not been for Tim Holmseth, Phil McConnell would be doing the field report right now. It would still be the field report. The Children's Crusade would still have their website. All this, Dr. Good Vibes would still be on the air. All these people would still be on the air. They're gone. And eventually, as soon as the legal wrangling is done with YouTube, the report is going to be gone because it still has Phil McConnell's stuff on it. That stuff has got to go. Holmseth, he said he passed 4 tests. That's not exactly right. One of the tests was done by the state of Minnesota, and the sole reason for that test is to determine if he was fit to stand trial. That's all it was. Because all you're doing when you're finding out if somebody is fit to stand trial is if they understand the charges against them. Can they proceed at the level to say that they understand the proceedings? That's all it is. This is not. It's not to diagnose any underlying condition. It's not to diagnose whether or not he's insane. It is simply to find out if he's competent to stand trial. That's the specific term. Are you competent to stand trial? It's a very narrow interpretation of law, and it basically boils down to understanding the proceedings and understanding the difference between right and wrong. If you understand those two things, you're fit to stand trial. End of story. I saw the mention there. At a bare minimum, at least, Field is getting to know his daughter-in-law and one of his grandchildren. Now, whether or not they're going to be able to stand each other is going to depend on whether or not Field can shut up about all this conspiracy crap. So, now, I'm going to get into the LLC and the DBA because I was an LLC and I was a DBA because I was a registered car dealer and another occupation where I had an LLC. An LLC is a limited liability corporation, and basically it's almost the same thing as what we call a sole proprietorship. And all the LLC does is if you have a business and you get sued, that means that if you are operating under an LLC, only the LLC can be sued. You cannot be personally sued. Everything, the limited liability falls on the corporation. Or, and a corporation can be a sole proprietorship. It's how you set it up. And the DBA is doing business as. Under Florida, we have what's known as the fictitious name statute. And under Florida law, if you're operating something like E-Clause, you have to register with the state of Florida that you're operating E-Clause under a fictitious name because it's not your birth name. It's not your legal name. And what you do is you register, E-Clause LLC DBA. And what that means is you're Chris Hallett DBA E-Clause. You are the owner of the company. Now, what that means is that you are letting the state of Florida know that you are operating E-Clause. That your real name is Chris Hallett. That if somebody needs to get a hold of you for some reason, be it, within the government, they're going to know that they need to call Chris Hallett at all the information that is on the filing with the court. That does not mean that if you file as an LLC in the state of Florida or a DBA, that you're qualified in the business that you're registering for. Now, I registered as a car dealer and another business in the state of Florida under both STI Auto Sales and MertWitness1.com. And I paid my money and that was it. But that does not mean that I was licensed. I had to go through the licensing board of the state of Florida, the Department of Motor Vehicles, take a course, pass a test that's administered by the Florida Independent Car Dealers Association, and have a license as a registered motor vehicle dealer in the state of Florida. Mr. Pendergrass and Mr. Hallett have not done that. Mr. Hallett is not registered with the Florida Bar Association. Mr. Hallett is a notary public. That does not mean Mr. Hallett can practice law. And Mr. Hallett is not even an officer of the court. He's a witness. That's all he is. Now, as a car dealer, under my license, I'm granted powers of attorney. That does not mean that I can go into court and practice law. When you're granted a power of attorney that is specific to a transaction, I can register a car in the name of my customer. That's all I can do. I can't go and represent him in court in a civil or criminal case. I can't give him legal advice. I can register his car. I can turn the title over to the state of Florida for him to get a title. and do all the paperwork. I'm basically a clerk. And I could, at one time, I had a title clerk, and she had a notary public stamp. And all she did was process the transaction. She would go down to the local Department of Motor Vehicles and she would file the paperwork so that the person who had the car could have his license plate, the little sticker you put on the license plate. Yes, I know about the two girls. The mother took the two girls and they went to visit somebody. Now, as far as why she's in the predicament she's in, I don't know. But the two girls were in the custody of their maternal grandmother. So they weren't in foster care with CPS. They hadn't been kidnapped and given into some strange people that nobody knew. It was in the family unit. So this is an entirely different case. Now, if there was a dispute as to why the grandmother had custody of the children, that's something that can be argued in court. So that's the situation there. But we got off track a little bit. But the fact of the matter is, if it's found out that Chris Gallett is practicing law as a lawyer or an officer of the court, he's committed a felony. So we're going to have to wait and see where that comes. And we're also going to have to see where the level of involvement is with the Absug case and now with the Neely case. So this is going to be rather interesting because it's interesting that this woman was so deep with E-Clause that she's running around with T-shirts on and running around with a car with a vanity plate, whether Chris Hallett owns the car or not. You know, she's that involved with E-Clause that she's running around with a vanity plate on her car. Now, that's real interesting that Chris Hallett would allow that. You know, because if she has a vanity plate with E-Clause on it, he can't have one. Unless he does what they call a numerical sequence, like E-Clause 1, 2, 3, 4. Because there's a lot of big companies in Florida that do that. So, for whatever reason, this woman went out, spent $150, and bought a vanity tag with E-Clause written on it, because that's what a vanity tag costs in Florida. If it's a new tag, you're looking at $200 for what they call a new tag fee, plus the cost of the vanity tag. And this is a custom vanity tag, so you're looking at around anywhere from $100 to $150, because you're paying for the cost of the tag, plus the registration fee for the car itself. And I own a Ford Escape, and it cost me about $40 a year to license it. I don't know why Monograph is calling Dr. Fassi at 2:39 in the morning. I wouldn't condone that sort of thing, but that's Monty. He does his own thing. You know, Monty does things I really wouldn't be doing. You know, I don't understand why he does that, but that's his thing. I don't mess with him. That's his, that's what he wants to do, and he wants to take that risk. That's up to him. But that's not a road I'm willing to go down. But according to the newspaper article on Neely, she's kind of off her rocker. You know, this is the second time this woman's been accused of kidnapping. The first case was dismissed. So... yeah, Minions, his show is funny. I like his show. It's just that I'm not listening to it at the current time because he's on a subject that I'm not interested in. So. Well, if she sells, Hallett sells E-Clause merchandise. Well, yeah, I've seen that. Okay, Kev Chat, what I'm going to do is I might monitor Monty's channel kind of, You know, I'd cut his audio off, but I'm going to monitor him and see how he's handling this. Let me go over there. Because this way I can at least see what's going on, but... Subscriptions... I don't see him yet, so... Okay, I don't... It's not showing up. Let's see. M-O-N-T... Sometimes I don't know how to... Oh, there he is. Alright, so far, he's not live. Oh, wait, here we go. And for whatever reason, his chat, everything is blank. Alright, let me... Well... Dr. Tammy called police on Monty. Well, it doesn't matter if he's drunk or not. You don't go calling people at 3 o'clock. And, you know, that's the same thing. You know, this is the double standard here when it comes to these people. They sit there and they complain about people making phone calls, and yet they turn around and they do the same thing to me. They put up all these things that were done to me, like it's okay, they can do that. You know, Tim thinks it's funny. You know, even though it's against the law. But, you know, Tim is a hypocrite. And, you know, and nobody cares. Because they believe in what Tim believes in. So... Jesus, 2,000 subscribers. Must be nice. Yeah, well. Glow 4 is not Mike Picazio. But, you know, believe what you want to believe. You know, people don't want the truth, so what are you going to do? Okay. I have not heard what Tracy's doing lately. Now, from what I understand, I don't know if it's true or not, but Monty claims that he is going off the air within a month. That he wants to go on and do different things, so I don't know how true that is. I wish him well in whatever he does. So we'll just have to, you know, we just go along one day at a time. Let's see where we're going. Yeah, these investigations take a while. Now I'm just scanning through Twitter and it doesn't seem... And for some reason I'm not getting... Okay, that should be back. Yeah, everything's back to normal now. So they get when I zoom in on Twitter, I wind up screwing the page up. So not much going on there. Why would Agent 19 have been in jail? And where are you getting this information from? It's, if you're going to say something, let's give, nobody gives links and something like this. So, why was Agent 19 in jail? Where's the link? Where's the proof? Since Agent 19 doesn't give out his personal information, I think that's a little hard to come up with. Because as far as I know, Agent 19 has never been identified. And I don't know. Let's see what's going on. Not much going on there. Boring, as we say. Well, that does, I'm saying, I see a lot of videos, but that's not okay. Well. Tim Holmseth has been in jail so many times, everybody knows him on a first name basis over there. Yeah, he put up the Chris Hallett thing too. So, but what are you gonna do? Well, he was in jail. He was in jail. I don't know the guy, so But what was he in jail for? Let's be curious. Other than that, Chris Hallett's been in jail. Kurt Pendergrass has been in jail. Tim Holmseth has been in jail. Seems to be everybody's been in jail in this crowd. It's money. So I wouldn't be worried about Agent 19 because, number one, you have to prove it. Unless Agent 19 admits it to himself that he was in jail. I mean, you can go to a jail for a lot of things. What is idiot up to here? Daniel Lee is up to his usual nonsense. Big nothing burger. Funny. No, I have never spent 1 second in jail. Never been to jail in my 69 and so many months of existence on this planet. Alright, well, just let me know when. I'll have my affairs in order if we're going to jail. If everybody's going to jail, that means you're going to jail too, Trump train. So, I guess we all ought to start packing. I mean, the way, Tim Holmseth, Kirk Pendergrass, and everybody else don't want due process. They just want to say, hey, you're guilty. Let's take you out to jail. Screw you. I don't like them either. And, yeah, this is one of the original topics I was going to talk about tonight because we were going to get further into. But Daniel Lee is being sued. And he's being sued by 4 people, one of which Tim Holmseth keeps attacking. And this Craig Sawyer is suing Daniel Lee, and one of the co-defendants is Timothy Charles Holmseth. So Timothy is being sued. He just doesn't want to talk about it. And that's one of the reasons when I first started talking about this, Tim Holmseth came after me. Because all you got to do is look, and when I talked about Craig Sawyer being involved in a lawsuit suing Timothy Holmseth, all of a sudden I'm involved with Craig Sawyer, I'm involved with all these people, and I have never met Craig Sawyer. I don't know if Craig Sawyer's even heard of me. So that was what's funny about this whole situation. Trump has military been in New York. Oh, well. Sawyer is Mossad. Oh, God. Looks like we got a moron in here. Let's see. We got Sawyer is Mossad. Well, at least you agree about Daniel. Well, I don't know. If you want to believe the guy is Mossad, that's your business. I don't know a thing about Greg Sawyer. I don't care about Greg Sawyer. If he can, get Holmseth off the internet, then that's fine and hunky-dory with me. Why is that doing that? Yeah, it looks like Trump Train's just doing a little trolling tonight. It's kind of boring in there, so. Well, I agree with you, Sharky. Daniel Lee is something else. He likes to yell a lot. Yeah, I would believe that Alex Jones is on the side. That guy is weird. He's at the top of the weird list. "37 people attending a church in Arkansas have been found positive for the virus." Pursuant to the Sixth Amendment. Defense contractor in law. Well, the only problem is he's not. And that's a felony to declare that. Well, Dwayne, only thing that will happen if they are found culpable in the civil lawsuit is there will be financial judgment and what they call, can't think of the term right now, but all the websites that have to be taken down and so on and so forth. That it would be, injunctive relief is the term I was looking for. That's what would happen. But that, as far as going to jail, it's unlikely because this is a civil lawsuit. There would have to be something along the line of a criminal act that would come out. Well, Shark, then if that's true, then they should be able to use that in their defense when this goes to trial. Because what's going to happen is the defendants in these lawsuits is going to have to go to court and they're going to have to state their case. Because they're accused of slander and defamation of characters. Now, this is going to go to court and the defendants are going to have to prove their case. So it's going to be up to a jury to determine who's telling the truth in this. So we'll see what happens. Oh boy, I see we got a pissing match going on in chat, but I'm just going to let it go. We don't have that many people in here tonight, so I don't usually. Well, if it's on video, then he's been identified. If you're talking about Agent 19, is right. Yeah, as far as what's going on with Sawyer, I don't care. That's going to have to come out in court. But that's, because they're going to have to defend themselves against every point in the lawsuit. But there's 4 plaintiffs in the case. And it's just, I believe Hagman is the primary in the lawsuit, and the others are what they call included plaintiffs. I see 9. What you find is 9 things about Sawyer might be true, but all it takes is one thing on each of these defendants to be false, and you prevailed in your lawsuit. Because it's ultimately the jury that you're going to have to convince. If you can prove your case to a jury about where you stood on certain issues, the jury will find in your favor and you will not be culpable. But it's going to be up to the jury to decide who's right and who's wrong and in what portion. but I have absolutely no use for sovereign citizens. I disagree with the whole concept. Halleck calls what happened to Neely Shire law. He calls everything Shire law. I mean, it's the only vocabulary that the man. I don't know how it can be Shire law that the woman is mentally incompetent and they give custody to a member of the family. This isn't sending the child off to a stranger to be put into human trafficking or any of this other stuff. It's a maternal grandmother. She's able to visit her kids. I mean, what the hell is wrong with that? I mean, these people are weird. Well, Dwayne, Tim has been doing this for 12 years. And he's done it to me. He says, I have a dossier with the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force, yet he does not have the balls to produce it. All he does is put up cartoons and recordings that are illegal, by the way. It's illegal to record anybody in Florida without their permission. It's illegal to make the kind of harassing calls that were made to me. And yet, Tim reproduces it. He actually makes himself part of the criminal act because it's against the law to promote that stuff. Oh, hello, Amber. Well, yeah, you want to come up and say hi to everybody? There you go. All right. Come here. Come on. I'm having a visit here. This is Amber again, folks, for all those who haven't met Amber. Hi. Oh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's my Amber. Oh, all right. You got sharp claws. Yes, you do. All right. Down you go. I still get. Thank you. Oop. Well, there goes the set. Crash. Bam. Just my little backdrop over in the corner. But that was Amber. That was dog number 1. Whew. Well, thank you, Trump. At least we agree on something. I try and be as accurate as I can on stuff. So. Oh, we got the case of the barking dog. Somebody's getting food. Whenever those dogs see food, the dogs start barking. It sounds like Skippy. And that's a dog that never used to bark. Now he barks. And Amber starts to bark. It's like a chain reaction. So off they go. Okay, that takes care of that. Yeah, that's the wrong one. I gotta find the right. Oh, that's weird. Oh, that's right. I can't get into that account on here. I keep wanting to get into a certain account and I can't because it's on a different computer. Yeah, the older daughter, Sharper's attack, is the daughter that she tried to kidnap the first time around, down in one of the Carolinas, and they threw the case out because they waited too long to get through speedy trial on that one. But she still lost custody of the child. So let me. Oh, Montegrappa is live. Okay. See how long Monty's been in.
Of your fear. It's
Okay, Monty. Holy crap. Monty's got 590 people, 94 watching him. I am definitely in the wrong subject. Because he's just what the future holds and who will rule over you. So he's hooked on to the better ones. Everybody's more interested on this subject than they are in this, which is fine, that's it's pretty good to beat your mother with a walker. Jesus. Well, Sharp's attack in Florida, if you come in from the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, and eastern Pennsylvania, you have to go into a self-imposed quarantine when you get into Florida. And that doesn't matter whether you live here or you're visiting. You have to go into quarantine. So that's not coming down good with other. What does he put up? Well. Come on. Well, it takes care of that. Oh, hi, Levi. Welcome to the chat. I just noticed you were in here. Not a heck of a lot going on tonight, Levi. I've been talking about the woman that got caught with her two 7-year-old daughters that she took from her grandmother and went for a joyride from one end of Kentucky to the other. Yeah, Sharpest attack. That's the same thing we're doing in Florida. It's a self-quarantine for 14 days. So. Well, Monty's got impressive numbers tonight. Wow. He just knows how to draw them in. I'll say that for him. which is why I am surprised that Timmy and company are so concerned about this little channel, because it's not, you know, it's not a big channel by any stretch of the imaginations, and, you know, my scope of influence, as they say, is limited. I just do my little thing in my little YouTube channel here. See, Chris apparently representing Neely Blanchard as to his involvement with the case, as to why she may have taken the children. Sickness in the house. Does he mean COVID-19? And how can he represent anyway? He's not an attorney. Can a notary act as an attorney? And the answer is no, he cannot. Yeah, Kennedy put up a video. So let's see.
Again, cause of the thing causing is the cause of the effect.
Guy has no idea how the law works. Amazing. My. Sorry. Yeah, it's something of a quiet night tonight. I think everybody's over at Monty's tonight. He's got over 500 people over there. Ooh. Big night. How are your allergies doing, Levi? I hear you had to cancel one of your podcasts, live streams, or whatever it was because of your allergies. I know the feeling with the allergies. Me and pine pollen don't get along. Pine pollen plus oak pollen. Those are the two big things down here in Florida. Except for where I'm at, I'm more into the oak tree allergies. Well, I don't know who's scared. I'm not scared. I mean, I do wish we'd stop with the false rumors about the coral virus, because it's something that's, it's dangerous and really shouldn't be putting out bad information. Yeah, I can imagine, because usually when I get chronic bronchitis from my allergies to the oak pollen, because it raises cane with my bronchial passages. Well, Trump train, you won't see me in jail to field, because I'm not part of that group. Anyone around field are going to be the ones in jail. So you have a good night, Trump train. Just take the precautions. Yep, somebody in Maricopa County is proved on the sheriff's department is positive. Washington, D.C. has been declared a territory. Those guys get screwed. Well, I am waiting for the day when Timothy goes to jail and we get to see yet another mugshot. and have him put in jail for a felony this time around. And I don't think he's happy that the Secret Service got involved with this one case. And I tried to warn people that the Secret Service has been involved in these cases from the beginning. So, people need to start going back and looking at my videos, because it's all laid out in sequence in all the videos. I did those videos in the order I did them and the way I did them for a reason. So, you might want to start rechecking a few of them. You might learn something. Yeah, it's not going to be long now. The walls are closing in on Timmy. He's basically just, he's a mouse getting on the trap full of cheese. They're going to let him eat the cheese, and then the trap is going to be sprung. Let's not get nasty on here, folks. Oh, lovely. Actually, Timothy makes a moron look intelligent. He is just, he's something else. I swear, I've never seen anything like him. Any news out of Stella? I don't know, Levi. Interesting. Yeah, I see the sharpest attack. I seem to remember that Randy had said something like that. That Neely was warned about E-Claws, but as seems to be the case, they just she got so enamored with field or with the E-Clause movement that she just got sucked into it, and now she's paying the price. She will probably never get to see her kids again, and she's going to be in jail for a long time. Yeah, and this is the same thing with Absug. Once this, Absug's in a pretty bad situation, all because she got mixed up with people like Homeseth, Field McConnell, and E-Clause again. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the day when Homeseth is going to get arrested. I don't know what's taken the government so long, other than they just want to build up a foundation of evidence so that when everything goes to trial, they can pretty well plaster these people. Well, they're all morons, Trump train, every damn one of them. It's group insanity. It's amazing to watch. And, and Tim gets right in there with them. And the funny thing is, and then Tim turns around and turns his back on these people, and just something else. Yeah, it'll be soon, because it's this Neely case might bring us pretty close to it. It depends on what comes out in the grand jury, because there's a lot of the same parties that got involved in this situation that got involved in the Absug situation and the other 3 cases that they're working on. So. It's going to happen here pretty soon. Yeah, Levi, I saw that the Teslana account is gone again. Actually, it's been down a while because I went to check on it, and it's gone, and all the messages that were sent to me are also gone. So I think that she's finally given up. Even though, I had thought she had started seeing the light, but I guess she just decided to get out of it altogether. Because it is completely gone. So, that's the way it goes. I didn't want that. Well, Field was entertaining, and it's like I said, if Field had stayed away from Tim, he'd probably still be here, doing his shows, entertaining people. But the minute he hooked up with Tim and started down this path of harassing Kim, he wrote his own rap sheet, so to speak. Yeah, she did say that, Levi. She said she was going to start her new YouTube channel, and I wished her luck. And then all of a sudden, she vanished. So whether she does it under a different name or what, I don't know. But, that woman is different, to say the least. So I don't know what's going to happen. She could be watching right now, but not have an account set up. Yeah, I guess we're a crazy bunch, Trump. Yeah, what can I say? Crazy, naive. Oh, well. course, I don't know if you're talking about the group in here or Field McConnell's group. You know. But, yeah, I don't. Levi, I have no idea. She'd probably start ranting and raving about you again. Of course, she might be at, she had a thing about the Blizzard Witch, which is Randy. So maybe she would have started stuff about her. I kind of wished I was waiting to see if she went through with it, because I'd love to see what she put up. But for whatever reason, she hasn't done it. So, someday she may decide to put it up, and we'll see. But if it's going after Tim and the rest of this group, she's welcome to it, But hard to say what she's gonna do. I know she got mad because of what happened to Tim. She did say that she had to disavow Tim. She said she's made peace with Kim, which surprised the hell out of me. And then right after that, she shuts down. So I don't know what's going on. But she always was unpredictable, so it's hard to say. But I just... I hate that. What the hell is this? Never understood why I brought up this case. This is 2014. I don't understand why this case brought up. I'm gonna have to... Mm-hmm. 12. File defense motion, change of defense, change of address, electronic monitor, house arrest agreement. I meant to reread this. I don't know if there's anything different in this one. Okay, let's go down. Alright, there's nothing new on that, so Broward County is basically zip. I check every once in a while. We're still set up for the 7th of May for a hearing and the calendar call. So, but we'll see what happens as we draw closer. What happens with the whether or not the courthouse is going to be open, because with the coronavirus thing, everything's up in the air. So we'll find out whether or not I'm going to be going down to Broward County in May. So Levi, it started back, I think, when she was mad at Kim Picasio. You two were good friends, and it just went from there. because everybody was after, we were after Tim, so to speak, and I think that was the center of this whole thing. She just has this thing for Tim Homseth, or used to. But it's the same reason why radio went after everybody. They just get this burr up their butt for whatever reason. It's just, this whole thing has been strange this last decade. Yeah, it's a sharpest attack. I don't understand these people. They don't have any rhyme or reason as to what they do. They just, for whatever reason, they'll side with somebody, and the rest is history. The reason they take a stand for or against a specific individual is just, it doesn't make sense. They pick a side and they go with it. Because the one incident was the grandmother. And in this case they're siding with the biological in one case and siding with the grandmother in another case. It's weird. And, you can't figure out what their reasoning is for getting involved in these individual cases, other than they're just trying to come up with a funding mechanism and they need these cases to do it. Oh, Levi, she's back. So, I guess that was a temporary situation because the account just followed me again. But that's okay. Scott. So she's following me alone, so. So Teslana, if you're in here watching, welcome back. Let's see. Okay, she says she's monitoring everything again. Okay, Teslana, I don't mind. I won't block. So she just came back on, because this was 3 minutes ago, if the Twitter clock is right. So she's in the room, but that's okay. I don't mind. Okay, she's writing. Yeah, I was surprised she took her account down. Yeah, let's see what comes up. Women like you make me sick. Learn your role being their grandmother, not their mother. So this is, I don't understand. Okay, Tess. Yeah, it's, I think Levi, what she's saying is she took issue with you. She accuses you of bullying or what have you. So that's what she said. I mean, you were a little harsh there for a while, but you know, but that's what her take is on the situation. Is she basically says you're a bully. But that's between you and her. I don't know if it is. Well, sounds like we had one hell of a cat fight going on there. You know, is Melissa the grandmother or what? Mm. Oh, okay. Now the name rings a bell. Well, you know, anybody that supports Field McConnell crazy. You know, it's just, especially the way he is now. That's just a given. Oh man. Tell you, I got to get a gaming chair or something. This chair is just very uncomfortable. I sit in this thing for 3 hours, and I feel like, you know, it's a decent chair and everything, but it's, you know, it's an office chair, but it just doesn't have enough cushioning. Okay. Okay. Well, it's none of Hallett business. He shouldn't be involved in that situation to begin with. You know, this is the problem: is these crazy groups get involved in the business of other people. They have no reason for being there other than they want the attention and they want the money. Because in the end, it boils down to money. Um, you know, Hallett is a subscription service, and some of what he does, they have Patreons and all this other stuff. It's a money pit. And I don't know. It's just, you know, the problem with it is they're getting people, you know, that now they allegedly have got somebody that's going to jail for 10 to 20 years because of something they advised her to do. So. Mm. I don't know. But it's just it's too bad that these women, they, for whatever reason, don't get the proper help. They decide they're just going to take their children and run. Then they get arrested, and they wind up facing the permanent loss of their children and going to jail. And we have 2 cases in a row, at least, that this is happening with. Sharper's attack, we don't know for sure what's going on with that case. This is what trials are for. But I do think that Hallett should have stayed out of it. And now the courts are going to have to deal with all of this. I don't think the arrest was a fraud. There's going to be paperwork that's going to be filed, and it will be available to the public. I will track it down, and I will discuss it when I get the paperwork. Now, I'm going to try and dig into this a little bit tomorrow and see if I can find the paperwork for this arrest and see just exactly what process was followed. But it's what's going to happen is, since there's going to be a grand jury, they're probably going to seal the damn thing. But right now, the first thing that's got to be done, this has got to be extradition to get her back to fight this case. So that's what's going to have to see what happens there. But you know what, folks? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to close down a little early tonight because, it's just that I've run out of things to talk about. There really isn't much I can do tonight. Now, tomorrow I'm going to be doing a little bit of digging, or try to anyway, to see if we can figure out what is going on with the various situations that are out there with the Neely case and everything else. And we'll see if anything new comes up. So what I'd like to do is wish everybody well. I hope everybody gets to keep away from having any viruses or anything. And I'll see if I can do a better job with a Friday night murdathon and see what else we can discuss. And so what I'd like to do is say goodnight, stay well, don't kill each other, and have a good one. This is William K. Murtaugh, Mert Witness 1, signing off.